I work as a ticket taker in a big multiplex. Until last week, a very horrific incident took place in one of the movie screenings. Now, you must know that every day, thousands of people visit the multiplex just to watch movies. So as a staff member, it is tough to make sure that place is clean and ready for the next screening. We try our best, but sometimes we too have a limit. Especially in the era of online booking, only the people booking the ticket last minute and the ones that are too old and cannot do the online booking come to my counter to book tickets. Now, usually, I work the morning shifts, so I'm hardly ever present when the multiplex closes. But last week, Danny, the guy who works the night shift, decided to take his girlfriend out on a date, and he agreed to cover my shift if I covered his on Saturday. He was a guy I knew from church, so I didn't mind doing him the favor. Plus, I got to sleep a little late once for a change. While working the night shift, I noticed that the crowd that comes for movies on a Saturday night is far more different than the crowd that comes in the morning. For example, more couples and more families come to the movies at night, while senior citizens and students often prefer the daytime to watch movies. So on that Saturday night, when I saw an old man walking up to my ticket counter with a long walking stick and sweater vest, I was a bit confused. Moreover, there were no movies appropriate for his age bracket. But who am I to judge his taste in movies? He might love action, romance, or horror. When he was standing right in front of me, giving me a toothless smile, I did my job and asked, "Good evening, sir. How may I help you? Which movie are you looking forward to watching today?" He smiled at me once more and said,
The new Fast and Furious movie seems good, but I'm not in the mood for flying cars today."
And he started to laugh once again. Although I did not find his joke particularly funny, I laughed too as an obligation. "So have you seen the latest horror movie?" "That one." Now, you must know, I'm not a big fan of horror movies, mostly because I had read a little too many Stephen King novels during my early teens and was scared out of my mind. So I particularly avoided horror movies. I did not even know the names of the new ones, even though I worked in a freaking multiplex. "I haven't seen it, sir," I replied as politely as I could with a small smile and all.
"Oh, okay. Scared, are you?"
He asked me again in a teasing tone. I just looked behind the older man and spotted a few people in the line. "Sir, please, you need to hurry up. People are waiting behind you in the line." To that, the man turned and gave all the people behind him the same toothless smile he had given me. Maybe he had forgotten his dentures at home, I thought. He looked at me again and said,
"Sure, give me one ticket to that horror movie. The next show would be great."
"Definitely. The next show starts in 20 minutes, screen B." I turned the screen his way and asked him to choose a seat.
"That one would be great."
He pointed at a seat in the second to last row. "Good choice," I smiled and told him. Although that's not a seat I would personally recommend. But who was I to tell a man triple my age what to do? I printed his ticket and took his money. "Here you go, sir. Your ticket and the change."
"Oh, thanks. Keep the change, young man, and treat yourself to an ice cream."
And the man walked away with his stick and that damn unsettling toothless smile of his. The rest of the night went by relatively eventless. Finally, after the last show started at midnight, I packed my stuff and drove home. The next day, Danny was covering my shift, so I switched off my phone and left. However, around 2 in the afternoon, I got a call from the manager of the multiplex asking me to come there immediately. I was so mad at the guy for calling me on my day off. All I wanted was a day away from the damn movie theater. When I reached there, however, I realized the gravity of the situation. There were cops and media everywhere. I entered from the back entrance, and right away my manager grabbed me and took me to a cop. "Mr. Albert, what's going on?" I asked. "The police will tell you." "Are you Peter Kavinsky?" "Yes, I am. Why? What happened?" "Did you see this man last night?" They showed me a picture of an old man with an unsettling but familiar toothless smile. "Yeah, this guy was here last night around 9 p.m.? Can you tell us more about him?" "Sure, but what happened, officer?" "Speak up, young man. All that you can remember. Well, nothing much. It was unusual to see an old man this late come for a movie, but he was cracking dad jokes and all. Asked me if I watched a horror movie. When I said no, he bought a ticket to that movie and went inside. That's it. Now, can you please tell me what happened? A couple found his dead body in the second to last row of the screen B this afternoon. Apparently, he died of a heart attack while watching the horror movie. Maybe it was too scary for his old heart. His body was gray and cold when the woman found him, and his eyes had almost popped out. The forensics say it was a heart attack, but we have to confirm. You were the last person to interact with this old man. Listening to the old man drained the living daylight out of me. Officer, can I see the old man one last time? As I still did not believe that the old man was dead. He was so full of life last night. Sure, just go there to that ambulance. I went there, and after begging the medic to let me have a look, she finally let me see the corpse of the dead man. And the sight I saw will forever be etched into my brain like a scene from a horror movie. The officer had not nearly described how the man looked. His eyes were almost out of the sockets and bloodshot. His skin was gray-purple as all the blood was drained out of it. His mouth was at a weird angle, and he looked much thinner than before, like he had lost a few pounds. I zipped the body badly again and prayed for his soul. But deep down, I had a feeling that this wasn't an untimely heart attack and something much more sinister. What do you guys think? As a movie director, I have directed many movies in my 20-year-long career. However, this is an incident that happened while I was directing my first ever horror movie. The script was so good I couldn't pass it over. Moreover, we were shooting in Romania, which is rumored to have many haunted locations. The day I landed in Romania with my cast and crew, I could right away tell that it was a beautiful country. The people were so hospitable, the weather pleasant, and the natural beauty was beyond anything I had ever seen. But when we reached the location where most of the movie was going to be shot, chills were running down the spine of everyone. It was a huge, dark, abandoned castle in the heart of Romania. Most of the cast was terrified, including me. We were living in a hotel a few kilometers away from this castle, and every evening after the pack-up, the cast and crew were all scrambling to leave the place. In the first few days into the shooting, a few of the crew members claimed to see some sort of presence in the hallways and back rooms of the castle. However, I had to be strong and not let these stupid fears stop my shooting. I ignored those claims and told the cast and crew to keep working. We weren't allowed to use the complete castle. Only a small section of the castle was open for us, and we were allowed to shoot there and set up the equipment. As a month passed, we shot the first quarter of the film. However, soon we were going to shoot at night, and this had the whole cast and crew on edge. Some people were straight out reluctant to shoot at night. But a few days before the night shoots began, I was the last one to leave the castle. Most of the team had gone back to the hotel. I stayed back with a few crew members to check out the rooms for the next day's shoot. That's when I came across 3 crew members who were doing something in the back room. This room was closest to the part of the castle that was close to us. "Hey guys, what are you doing?" I asked the 3 of them. The 3 men were shocked to see me there and struggled to get to their feet. One of them had something in his hand, and the other 2 had a few candles and incense sticks in theirs. My first thought was that these 3 guys were doing some satanic ritual. This castle in particular was famous for these type of rituals back in the 1700s and 1800s. "Hey there, bosses. You still here?" Gabriel, the one carrying the candles, said. "Yeah, I'm still here, but what are you 3 guys doing in this back room?" For a split second, I saw the hesitation on each of their faces. They exchanged a long look, and then Gabriel continued. You know that we're Catholics, right?" "Yeah, I know, but what does that have to do with us?" "Well, you see, a few members had seen some strange apparitions in this castle, right? So I called a priest back home and told him all about the experiences of the crew members. He is the priest of my church. The priest said that if we offer food to the spirits that dwell in this castle every evening, they might not trouble us and we can complete our shooting without any incident." While Gabriel was explaining this to me, the 2 other guys were nodding in agreement. These three guys were dead serious and they weren't doing any satanic ritual. I couldn't control myself and burst out laughing. You guys are joking, right? What the hell? This is really funny. Do you guys think offering food will stop the spirits from hurting us? Personally, I think that there are no spirits. It's all your minds playing tricks on you. Stop all the nonsense and go back to your hotel rooms. We have a full day of shooting tomorrow. I need all of the crew to be energetic throughout the shoot. They did not obey me and laid the food, the unlit candles, and incense sticks on the ground and started walking away. Hey guys, come back. Who's going to take this stuff? We don't need rodents on our set. Very reluctantly, they picked up the stuff they had left in the room and walked out. I still cannot control my laughing, thinking about the blind beliefs of these people. I guess some people have never heard about science. The next day, suddenly in between the shoot and the afternoon, a hairstylist started screaming from the rooms reserved for the hair and makeup of the cast. We all rushed in to find the woman curled up in a corner of the room. She had 3 red burn marks on her hand from a curling iron. The woman was quickly given first aid by some other crew members, and when I talked to her, she claimed that she dozed off while the shooting was going outside and was suddenly woken up by a burning sensation on her arm. She had no idea who did this, but she suspected that the spirits in the castle were harassing her. I believed all this to be bullshit and asked her to collect herself or she could fly home and I would arrange for a replacement. When I restarted the shoot after the incident, I heard Gabriel say from a corner that this was all happening because I stopped them from offering food to the spirits, and that from here, it's only going to get worse. I shut him up quickly, but till then, everyone knew about my incident with Gabriel and the other crew members. I asked everyone to be calm and continued with the shoot. That day ended with no new abnormal events. However, the next day, things became worse. The crew and the lead actor was down with a stomach bug, and the shooting had to be canceled for a week until they recover. Once we were back on the location, one costume manager said that he saw the lead actress walk into the forbidden part of the castle, all while the actress was shooting right in front of my eyes. The situation just kept getting worse and worse. Some days, some people fell and broke their legs and hands. Sometimes, a big halogen light burst into flames. These disasters were a big hindrance to the shoot. By that time, all the locals had heard about our shooting and all the incidents that were happening in the castle. Many of them were saying the spirits were angry, but I refused to believe. I blamed everything on the fear of the cast and the crew, until one night when I was working late with the crew to make sure the set was ready for the next day. I walked away from the team to go to the stalls of portable washrooms. That's when I saw an old man sitting on a short wall of the castle. As I was about to walk into the restroom, he stood on the wall, and the other side of the wall was a deep valley. He looked at me, and I did not recognize him from my crew. He was standing on the wall, and then suddenly he jumped. I ran towards the wall and bent down to see his dead body in the valley. I was screaming after him. But as I watched down, there was no one there. This creeped me out a lot. I suddenly believed the cast and crew members who had experienced similar things. And I understood how unsettling it could be to experience something so horrifying and to still work in the same location. I packed up our work for the day and decided not to let any of my cast and crew know about what I had seen. Instead, I went to Gabriel's room. "Can you offer it again? I'll pay for the food and the candles and everything. Just make sure the shooting goes on smoothly without people getting hurt," I requested him. "Sure, boss. We can do that." The next evening, quietly, the 4 of us offered food in the same back room, prayed for the trapped spirits, and then left. Since that day, no more paranormal incidents happened. We completed our shoot in peace, and also got a local priest to bless the entire part of the castle we were using. Once the shoot was over that day, the film was a blockbuster when it hit the big screen. From this incident, I understood that sometimes some practices are for our benefit, even though they might seem outdated or even unscientific.
As a high school student, there aren't many jobs you could do. You either end up in a Walmart, in a cafe as a barista, or waiting at the tables at a restaurant. I wasn't interested in any of these jobs, so when there was an opening for staff at our local theater, I applied. The good thing was the shift started at around 6 in the evening and ended whenever the last show for the day ended. This meant I could attend school in the morning, study or sleep in the afternoon, and get to work in the evening. This happened almost 4 months into my new job. I was assigned the task to clean the theater after every show, picking up the trash people leave behind and making sure a clean theater awaited the next batch of spectators coming to see a movie. Most of the people carried their trash, so I never really had much work to do. The workload was moderate and the pay was good. I was very happy with my job. One evening, however, the staff members who had worked at the theater for longer were having a serious discussion, and I too joined them to know what the matter was. "Hey guys, what's going on?" I asked. "Jason, did you know this theater is haunted?" Stacy, the girl who worked at the ticket booth, said. "It's said that when this theater first opened about 30 years ago, one night, a woman came to see the last show and somehow failed to get out of the theater before the staff and got locked inside. As the theater did not reopen for the next week due to a snowstorm, she died inside of dehydration and hunger. Many people claim that they have seen a ghost of a woman roaming the hallways and in the theater." Stacy added, "Well, I haven't seen anyone, and to be honest, I don't believe in such things," I said, and walked away from there. 2 days later, I was working on my shift as usual when Cameron, the guy who also did the night shift with me, had a date with his girlfriend, so he left early, leaving me in charge of cleaning the theater after the last show. We usually clean the theater at night after the end of the last show, so the staff in the morning doesn't have to bother with it early in the morning as soon as they arrive. When the last show ended, I waited for all the people to walk out before entering the theater and cleaning it. That day, I was alone as Cameron was on his date. I usually start with the last row and gradually move forward to the front seats. While I was cleaning the second to last row, I saw a woman wearing a sundress with long straight black hair sitting in one of the chairs. I called out to her, "Ma'am, the show has ended. You can leave," assuming she must have dozed off during the movie and no one had woken her up. But to my surprise, she had got up from her current seat, which was right in the center of the theater, and sat in one of the rows ahead of her. I found it to be weird and decided to comfort her, but as I got closer to her, she got up once again and walked out of the exit. The only issue was she had walked out of the exit and taken a wrong turn. She had walked into a staff-only area, and it was necessary to get her out of there. Without thinking much, I followed her. She kept on walking through the restricted area, and like a fool, I kept on yelling at her to stop and get out of there. But finally, she entered a staff changing room, and I knew for sure there was nothing ahead of that room. I swung the door open to tell her she had to get out, but as I entered the room, it was empty. There was no woman in the room. I stood there, dumbstruck, and that's when I remembered Stacy's story from a few days ago. I was horrified at the realization of what I had just seen. I wanted to get back home as soon as possible. I ran towards the exit, not caring about cleaning the theater, but as I neared the exit of the building, I realized that it was locked. The guard in charge of locking the building had assumed there was no one in and locked the place. I realized that I was in great trouble. Although the theater would open tomorrow, I had no idea whether I would survive till tomorrow or not. I immediately dug out my phone from my pocket, only to realize there was no network. This never happened. There was always a network in the whole building. I just sat there at the entrance, contemplating my options. That's when I saw her again. She was peeking from a hallway that led to the women's washrooms. I was scared as hell, but decided to follow her anyways. As I was walking behind her, it felt like she was leading me somewhere. I kept on following, and in the end, she entered a storage room. I went in there too, to find myself surrounded by old vending machines, cleaning supplies, some more furniture, and whatnot. That's when I saw a square window on the wall at the back of the storage room. It was high enough that I couldn't reach it without a ladder or something to elevate me, but not too high. I was wondering how I could reach that window when a loud bang came from the hallway behind me. I went there to investigate and saw the janitor's closet open, and on the floor lay an old wooden ladder. That's when it hit me. The woman wasn't trying to scare me or harm me. Rather, she was helping me get out of a situation she couldn't get herself out of. I grabbed the ladder and placed it below the window, and somehow managed to get out. When I was out, the first thing I checked was for a network. Luckily, I had one and decided to call my brother to come get me. As I was walking away, I turned back to look at the window one last time and saw two hands grabbing onto the window and a head peeking out, looking at me walk away. That's the day I started believing in ghosts and spirits. Although I deemed this incident to be the scariest one of my life, I could not imagine what would have happened to me if I was locked there overnight. The spirit of the woman helped me, and I will forever be thankful to her. Have you ever encountered a spirit like this? Since the day I started working in this theater 7 years ago as a security guard, I knew it was going to be an easy job. After all, the theater was closed forever, and the building was up for sale anyways. The only reason a security team was hired was to guard the props and all the valuable lighting and sound systems present in the theater. Sam, Jordan, and I used to be on the night shift every night. We all never believed in ghosts or anything paranormal. I was the senior security guard there. Sam joined a year later, and Jordan had just completed 2 years working with us. Our job was simple. We had to get there by 6 in the evening and relieve the previous guys. Then we used to take rounds and check each room in the theater. The building had 3 floors, and we each used to check 1 floor. After that, we used to lock up and sit in the control room, keeping an eye on the CCTV camera feed. Our job was pretty uneventful, but the pay was good, and we were free to take up another job in the day, so it was perfect. However, last month Sam fell ill, and a new guy joined our team as a replacement for Sam. His name was Andy, and he was a young lad. It was his first job ever, so Jordan and I decided to take him under our wing and show him the ropes of the work. He was a bit of a coward, but given his age and lack of experience, we didn't mind. So instead of assigning him Sam's second floor to check, we told him to guard the main gate, and Jordan and I checked the second floor on alternate days. Andy was very happy to guard the main gate, as no matter how late it was, there was always some people on the road or the sidewalks. Plus, all he had to do was sit in the cubicle and keep watch. As Andy was guarding the entrance, Jordan and I focused more on the other CCTV cameras. This soon became our normal. Andy used to join us for a couple of hours in the control room to chat, but used to return to his position pretty quickly. Our dynamic worked well for us until 2 months into Andy's recruitment. Jordan suggested that we should check on Andy just to make sure he's all right. We generally never checked in on him, but that day Jordan was stressing about it. Sure, just let me open the feed that covers the entrance. As soon as I opened the feed that showed Andy, Jordan and I exchanged a funny look. In the feed, we could see Andy standing out of his cubicle and making hand gestures as if he was talking to someone. "What's up with him?" asked Jordan. "Don't know, man. Is he talking to someone on the phone?" My first thought was maybe Andy was wearing an earpiece and talking to someone. "I don't think so, man. Can you zoom in on his ear?" Jordan asked. "Sure." I zoomed in on his ear and we could not see any earpiece. That's when Andy did the weirdest thing. He extended his hand in front of him as if offering someone to hold it, and then very slowly started walking down the sidewalk that ran parallel to the street, away from the theater. Jordan and I again exchanged a look. "What the hell is going on?" Jordan cursed out loud. "Does he still have the walkie-talkie with him?" Jordan asked me. "Yeah, I guess it's strapped to his waist. Look," I pointed at the screen. Each member of the security team has a long-distance walkie-talkie with us in case we need to communicate. I picked up mine from the side table and decided to talk to Andy. "Hey, Andy, do you copy?" I asked. Jordan and I kept on looking at Andy, who was now in one corner of the screen, still acting as if he was helping someone walk. After a few seconds, we got a reply. "Yes, this is Andy. I copy." "Buddy, what are you doing?" This time it was Jordan talking through my walkie-talkie. Helping her? What else do you think?" Andy's reply confused me and Jordan even more. Helping who, Andy? I asked in a calm tone. Jordan and I had a faint idea of what was going on, but we didn't want to scare Andy. So, in a calm voice, I told Andy the truth. Listen, buddy, I don't know what's going on, but we've been watching you from the CCTV for a while now, and we think something is wrong. Can you please tell us who you're helping? The old lady I'm helping cross the road. Andy's reply sent chills down our spines, but Jordan and I had to save our friend. Listen carefully, Andy. There is no old lady. You are seeing things. We need you to just run back into the theater towards the control room, now. Hurry. We could see Andy's panic before we heard his voice. What do you mean? I'm confused. That's when Jordan snatched the walkie-talkie from me and just began to yell into it. Run, Andy! Just run! Get into the theater! Run as fast as you can! Run, man! Run! Through the screen, we saw Andy running towards the theater. By the time he barged into the control room, he was sweating and terrified. Are you all right? I asked Andy, to which he just nodded. Jordan brought him a glass of water and handed it to him. After Andy was a bit stable, we showed him the CCTV footage in which he was clearly talking to someone and later escorting the invisible figure. When we asked who he was helping, Andy revealed a shocking story. I was helping the old lady.